Heroes in a half shell. Sometimes, a few times, at least once, they have shells. Hey there guys, Mikey here, and welcome to the Comic Junkies Corner. We're here to talk about none other than Ninja Turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to be exact, the 2014 movie. I know this video is 3 years too late, but yeah, I said I was going to talk about these videos. Made a post on Twitter because I had just watched the Out of the Shadows last year, towards the end of the year, and I said I was going to do a video on that, so I figured I'd do a video on this first, so next week you could see my Out of the Shadows thoughts and review after, next week. So, let's talk about some turtles. Or lack thereof, rather. I pretty much have the same complaint that everyone else does about this movie. There's not enough of the Ninja Turtles in this movie. And here's the thing. I didn't necessarily mind that they were trying to go for a story that was, kind of centered more around April. I didn't necessarily mind it to a certain degree. If you had titled the movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the April O'Neil story, then I would have got into it. It probably would have been a little bit more well received, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the seller, it's the kicker, it's the title that's going to put butts in seats. That's what they were going for. But unfortunately, it's one of those things like you got to be a little bit honest with your audience, But I mean, this movie is this is the origin story for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and for April O'Neil as well. So, you get the backstory of the Turtles. It's an interesting backstory. It's different than what we actually are accustomed to and everything like that. But it's not necessarily an ooze per se that transforms them. It's more of a lab experiment, and they're just kind of like gone wrong, and they mutated as a result. It's still kind of like has that silliness to it. Obviously, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but neither does the original. So you can't really like judge it off of that. It's not like the original way they got their powers and became mutant turtles is really just silly, but this one is just equally silly. I didn't have a problem with it. It wasn't necessarily like, it didn't drag the movie down at all. I was just like, oh, okay, this is the origin. It was speaking to a newer audience, people that weren't familiar with the Ninja Turtles before, and for those who are familiar with it, it's just kind of like, okay, this is our take on it. I didn't have a problem with that. That was fine. And they're showing the Turtles. I loved the way the movie opened. It does have that Fruit Ninja feel. I thought that was funny. I knew that it had to be on purpose. That had to be on purpose. The whole Fruit Ninja thing. I was like, okay, that's got to be on purpose. A little gag, and I'm like, okay, that's funny. But I really liked the way it opened. It kind of showed you like this real graphic novel type look and everything, and it's like kind of called back to the original Ninja Turtles comics. So it's like it looked really cool. They did something different with the Foot Clan. The Foot Clan are more terrorist in this one, as they are. Well, I think they're always kind of terrorists, but like they're more like, they use machine guns and stuff like that, and they're terrorists for the most part. They're terrorizing New York City. I didn't have a problem with that per se. Maybe they probably should have put a few more like ninja type characters in there. Like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. He can still like use guns and stuff, but he can still fight, and just kind of give the turtles, not turtles, but show that they are ninjas as well as as assassins and soldiers and stuff like that. But they went the soldier route, like the terrorist route and everything. I didn't really have a problem with that. I was like, okay, that's fine and everything. I didn't mind the Foot Clan. I really didn't mind that it was centered around April as much. And the reason being was because, if I'm being honest, this movie felt more like a sequel than it did an origin story. Because, and that's just from me. That's from me, like, okay, I grew up with watching the Ninja Turtles cartoon. I grew up, watching the original Ninja Turtles movie. Um, I liked the first one. The second one, I do like the second one, but I recognize that it's really silly. It's much sillier than the first one, but I still like those two, three, and we're not going to talk about three. I don't know what it is about the third movie, man. It's just like, I don't know what it is. It can't explain it. I just don't know what about that third movie. But anyway, with certain franchises, anyways, that third movie, I think, maybe Captain America was the only one that actually had a decent third movie in terms of like comic book movies and stuff like that. Like, I think Captain America was the only one that had a decent third movie. I still think Winter Soldier was the best, but it's another video. That's another video. We're talking about Ninja Turtles. So, like I said, for me, it felt more like a sequel, and that was fine for me, but I understand, like, that's probably not good for a general audience. If you haven't grown up with the Turtles, you don't know them, then you're introduced to these characters for the first time, and you're sitting down in your chair, and after a while, you're just kind of like, where are they? Like, where are they? And then, they have this relationship with each other, which you can buy. We could buy whether you are a previous Ninja Turtles fan or a newcomer and don't know anything about them. You can buy it. But there are certain aspects of the relationship, especially the tension between Donatello and Raphael. Yeah, I know why they're always at odds, and I know why they're, like, beefing with each other and stuff like that. But a newcomer doesn't know that, and it was never established earlier on in the movie. You just, like, you show them learning their martial arts skills and everything, and yeah, I know it's kind of silly. Splinter learns it from a book, but I'm like, that he apparently can read, and I'm like, all right, well, was it better when he was in a cage and was watching the martial arts, and he was watching the martial arts instructor do his thing, and I'm like, it's not. It's really not. You could go either way. The original movie, it's silly. This movie, it's really silly. It makes no sense. Like, this is dumb, but it's fine. It's just kind of like, all right, whatever. But you see them, like, they're learning, they're getting their abilities and stuff like that, and it's kind of cool. But you never really show. You show a little bit of their personality, but you don't get, like, okay, why is why is Donatello such into technology, and why is he such a nerd? Whatever. Why is he like that? Why is Raph such a hard ass? Why is Leonardo such a why is he the leader? Why are they butting heads? Where did that tension come from? And I know. A person that grew up with the Turtles will know, but another person's not going to. Like, a newcomer is not really going to understand where that tension is coming from. It's just kind of like, okay, I guess they're fighting for some reason, or I guess they're not getting along for some reason. So that was the thing with me. Like, that's probably why this movie didn't bother me as much, that April was the central focus. I kind of knew that going in. I mean, it's the first movie, and they have money, but not a lot of money, and it costs a lot of money to animate the Turtles, as well as probably the giant Shredder. The Turtles are big. They are really big. I kind of wish they're a little bit smaller. I don't mean like buff big. I mean, they are buff big, but I mean, like, height-wise, I wish a little bit taller, a little bit shorter, just a little bit less monstrous, if that's the word I can use to describe it. It's a little bit less small. I kind of wish they were a little bit smaller. It doesn't really detract all that much, but it sometimes, like, especially like when you're watching it and you see the scale, and you're just like, man, they're really, really tall. But because they were so tall, I felt like Um, when you have your main villain, Shredder, they had to make him like this really big, tall thing or whatever. And he kind of looks like if you've watched Wolverine, he looks like the Silver Samurai just with claws. I mean, he really does. I was kind of disappointed in Shredder. I'm not gonna lie about it. I was kind of like, especially knowing what was kind of supposed to happen, and all right, I know the person that played oh, what the heck's his name? I can't remember the guy's name now. But the other villain in the movie that wasn't Shredder, wasn't Shredder. Why didn't he just make him Shredder? I mean, it was all lining up for him to be Shredder, and not making him Shredder actually just okay. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in this movie, but it's like, this is one of those things that kind of like pulls you out of it a little bit. It's just like you're lining up everything for this person to be Shredder, and then he's not Shredder. So he just becomes this forgettable type of, like I said, I don't remember his name, but it's just like if he were Shredder, it would have just made so much more sense. And you can tell, like, okay, there's been reshoots and stuff like that. Apparently there was a fan outcry or something like that, and I understand, like, okay, there's purists and stuff like that want their Shredder to be Japanese, and that's fine and everything, but sometimes you just gotta let the studio do their thing. Like, you can complain about it after, because when they do something like this, or like, yeah, it's like, sometimes just gotta let them do their thing. Complain about, if they mess up, we'll know that they messed up, and we will let them know, because we're fans. We want to see good, good quality films, and we'll let them know when they messed up. But I guess let them make the mistake if they're going to make it. I guess that's I don't know how to best to put that. It's kind of, like a catch-22. Like, what if they let him be Shredder and it was really, really bad? And but we will never know now, because we got what we got. There's the actions. The actions pretty good at most times. Sometimes when you can see what's going on, the action's pretty good. Especially like the avalanche scene where they're sliding down the mountain and stuff like that. That was far more entertaining than I expected it to be. I saw it in the trailers. I was kind of like, how are they going to work that in? And it worked. It was fine. It was fun. When they're when the Ninja Turtles are fighting the Foot Clan, it's pretty entertaining. It's pretty cool. And then come to find out they're actually bulletproof. So that's interesting. Okay, like they're not indestructible. They can be beaten. They can be hurt. They can be killed. And this movie will, like, kind of pushes that envelope a little bit. It's like, hey, these people can die. So, it's definitely a little bit more mature of a movie, not to say like it's like, oh, it's only for like adults, or it's definitely not. It's definitely like for kids that, like if you were an adult and you had a kid and he was like 6 or 7 years old, I might not, and you were protective, you probably wouldn't let him watch that. But, like 12, 13, you'd probably be okay. You'll be fine with it. It's a PG-13 movie. So, like, yeah, you'll be fine with it. It never pushes like, oh, there's so much blood and stuff like that. It's not X-Men Apocalypse. It's not pushing the envelope of the PG-13. It's not by any means, especially with like the over-the-top action in times and stuff like that. It's not pushing that envelope at all, but it's entertaining when it happens, and you all understand, like, okay, because there's so much gunfire and gunplay and swords wielding and stuff like that, you never truly see anyone get cut down per se, but you kind of understand that it happens. Okay, and this is one of the things that kind of bothered me a little bit. The fight kind of made up for it, but it bothered me a little bit, because when Shredder and Splinter meet. Oh, now I have to say this. Splinter looks horrible. He looks really bad. The Turtles, they look how they look. The look never really bothered me all that much. I know like some people don't like it. It doesn't bother me all that much. It's kind of like, okay, those are the turtles. There you go. You know, they're a little darker than I might like them, but I'm like, that's turtles. That's fine. Splinter didn't look very good. He really didn't. It was just like, I don't know. It was the way like they made his face, and it looked very, very it looked very video gamey. And just, like, I'm not really a big guy for visuals and stuff like that, but if you have like a comparison of what you've shown me and then you put something that's in the movie and you put them together, and it's something that looks decent and looks good, and then you have something that doesn't look good, you definitely can tell the difference. I said the same thing about Batman v Superman. The suit that Bruce Wayne is wearing in Batman v Superman, the mech suit, is CG. It looks great. It looks awesome. The cape that Superman is wearing at times is CG, and it looks great. It looks awesome. Doomsday looks bad. He just looks bad. It's just the nature of it. Like, you can tell, like, I'm not trying to detract away from it. It's hard to create these characters, but it doesn't look good. Splinter does not look good in this movie. However, that being said, when he and Shredder go toe-to-toe, I don't like the manufactured tension between them, because it's like, oh, you're talking like you have a history, but obviously you don't, the way this movie has been set up. Like, you don't have this history. What happened? Why are you talking like you have a history or something like that? And, if like for an adult, you catch that. You catch that release. It's like, why are they... Even like, I know why they would have tension. But that's not the way this story has set it up. This story has not set it up for them to have, like, beef, like, a history of beef towards each other. It's just kind of like, oh, well, why are you talking like you know each other for so long, and this is a long-going rivalry? However, that being said, that fight's pretty awesome. That fight is pretty awesome. When Splinter is fighting, it's really cool because he's using his tail. It's pretty darn cool. When the turtles are fighting, it looks pretty darn cool. I gotta say that. I gotta give credit where credit's due. When the turtles fight, when you can see them fighting, it's cool. Because there are certain times where like they're doing cutaways and stuff like that, because they're trying to, get the chaos of the scene that's going on. You got people running, like people running out of the subway and stuff like that, and they're fighting. So you can't really see what's happening per se. But yeah. Like when Splinter is fighting, it's pretty cool. When, like I said, turtles are fighting, it's pretty cool. I didn't really care much for the last fight between Shredder and the turtles. I was expecting something a little more epic, a little more martial artsy. Simply because the fight between Shredder and Splinter was very, very much like martial arts choreography. And it looked good. I was kind of expecting something a little more towards that, and it kind of wasn't. It was okay. Just it didn't do much for me or anything like that. And the way it ended, like with April delivering the final blow, was kind of like, did she really have to do that? Could that not have been one of the turtles that did that? Did you really have to hit this home that this is April's story? It's like, I'm pretty sure we got that, but I really didn't care for that all that much. Felt like it should have been one of the turtles, that should have been able to do that. That being said, and then there's, like, again, I have to go back to this. There's a speech that Raphael gives. Excuse me. There's a speech that Raphael gives, and I felt it. I was like, wow, that was a pretty powerful speech. However, in the context of the film, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And you're just kind of like, you kind of get it, but it's kind of like, it feels like, it feels like you missed something. And I think the problem with that is because this story was so focused around April that it didn't have time to give the Turtles that development, so that when he made that speech, it was kind of like, oh, okay. The general audiences would have felt it more. So, it's one of those things like, okay, you can have a story that's focused around April. It did. This movie feels like a sequel to me. It does not feel like an origin story, even though they show the origin and everything. It feels like a sequel. It doesn't feel like they've like an origin. But so when they do stuff like that, it's like, when Raph gives that speech, when they're falling and, off the Empire State Building or whatever, they're not the Empire State Building, but they're falling basically. And, they're on the antenna and they're going down and like, they feel like they're about to die. And, Raph's giving this really heartfelt speech. He's like, I was so hard on you because, I pushed you because I believed in you and, you're my brothers and I love you and stuff like that. And he's just like, every time I felt like every time I said I was going to walk away is because I was scared because I didn't feel like I could live up to you. And, that's why I was always so angry. And I'm like, this is really deep coming from Raph. And I feel this because I know the character. I have seen the incantations of the character. I know that he's like this and why he's like this and why they have this relationship, why this tension is building, why he's been like that. But we haven't seen a lot of that in this movie. So it's just kind of like when he comes out with it, it's just kind of like, okay. And it kind of ends that way. It really does. It's kind of like, hey, Raph, we're fine. We're alive. And it's one of those like silly little like cartoony scenes or whatever. Like you obviously should have heard them crash into the ground, but you didn't. They're just kind of like above ground. They're just kind of like standing there, just like, hey, we lived, right? We're fine. All right, cool. But nobody sees them, of course. And they sneak off into the sewers. Nobody sees them. Nobody. How they fit into the manhole cover, how they fit into the manhole, beyond me. Don't think they would have fit, but whatever. Movie logic, Ninja Turtle logic is fine, or whatever. Give me my overall thoughts on the movie. It's fine. It's really fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's fine. It's like, for those of you who don't know, I collect these movies. I collect all comic book movies and stuff and nerd culture, the stuff that I like. Everything that's awesome. I collect the movies, good or bad. It has to be really bad for me not to want to get it. So, and I mean, really bad. It ticked me off to see it, that I wouldn't get it. And there's very, very few of them that have done that. And I have it. I own this one, and I own Out of the Shadows. Just this movie's fine, if somebody wanted to see it or something like that, I was like, yeah, I'd pop it in. I wouldn't be like, oh man, I don't want to watch that. It's fine. I wish, a little bit more Turtles, more people. I understand why people are upset. They didn't get what they really came there for. And they came there to see the Ninja Turtles, and you do see them, just not as much. You didn't come there to see April O'Neil's story. Like I said, if it had been Ninja Turtles, the April O'Neil story, probably would have been a different story. Not a different story, but different story, in terms of people's reaction to it. And people would have understood, okay, yeah, this is central around April. This is her origin story and stuff like that. And if they had a Ninja Turtles movie that was mainly focused around the Ninja Turtles beforehand, then this one probably would have been a little bit more well received by fans. Not by critics. The critics are going to destroy this movie because, like I said, there's holes, there's stuff that doesn't make sense, but you're kind of like, yeah, fine, whatever. It's not great. It's not great. It's fine. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts on it. What did you think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014 version? Did you like this movie? Did you hate it? Whatever it is, put it in the comments below. Let me know. Don't forget to follow my friend JJ's blog at 4comicjunkies.blogspot.com. Follow him on Twitter at 4comicjunkies. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. McBlam. And thank you guys for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. And I will see you in the next video.